He was 30-13, and they're like, "Get out of here! You stink. You gotta go."
Bucks are
They
second in
just
the
signed
East.
him. He was
in the summer.
He
had been. What's the guy's name? Griffin.
Aiden Griffin or something.
Adrian
like that?
Griffin.
Adrian
You
Griffin.
guys are thinking of Eddie Griffin.
This guy. Oh, right, undercover brother.
Right.
Adrian Griffin. So they get this guy. I think he was an assistant for the Raptors. So this is his first head coaching gig, and they're doing well. Mm-hmm. They're like second in the East. The Milwaukee Bucks are like the fourth
and they've
best.
Had injuries too.
They're like the fourth best team in the NBA, right? And they're having a good season, and they fire the guy because they're trying to get Doc Rivers.
And Doc Rivers is available. They could have just hired Doc Rivers right off the rip. Like, he was fired at the end of last season.
Because he was, banging an assistant or something, right?
No.
Oh, that was Ime Udoka. Is that who I'm thinking of? Yeah.
Doc Rivers just couldn't get the Sixers to the
past the playoffs.
They couldn't even get them to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay.
They kept getting bounced in the semifinals. But this guy was doing pretty good, but they said, well, the defense isn't what it used to be. But you also traded one of the best defensive players to get Damian Lillard. So, yeah, the defense isn't going to be what it was because you traded Drew Holiday. So now he's on the Celtics kicking ass for them. And they've only lost 10 games. I think the Celtics are 21-1 at home. That's incredible.
Yeah. So the Milwaukee Bucks will be there tonight and on Friday night against the Cavaliers with their assistant coach.
Well,
Joe Prunty will be their interim coach until they get that spot filled. I was reading that the Bucks currently have the best winning percentage for any team that fired its head coach during the season since David Blatt got blown out with the Cavaliers. Remember David Blatt?
But if you remember, the results of that season were a championship, so it paid off.
Right. But they blew him out and brought Ty Lue in, yeah?
Yeah. But that wasn't after his first season either. David Blatt coached a whole season and then was going into his second season.
Okay.
And
he went back to, coach Israeli basketball or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get the hell out of here. So anyway, that's a wild story, and it sucks if you're Adrian Griffin. He's like, I finally got my head coaching gig because he's been in the league as an assistant for a long time. And you finally get called up, and they go, you're having a great season. You just never know. You never know. You know, there are forces at play above your pay grade, literally and figuratively, and there's just other chess pieces. That's true in any business. Maybe some more than others, but there are things moving around you that you have no idea what's going on. And those things can negatively impact your standing, and it sucks. But I would imagine somebody might want to kind of kick the tires on him after this season. I mean, he's done, I don't know. You can never fully chalk it up to the coach either. I mean, you still got to go out and sell yourself.
I just want to be
I'm just like, I don't know I don't know how good you have to be doing to keep your gig.
I just want to be a coach that gets a $10 million contract and then they fire me after 6 months. Is that too much to ask?
Well,
is that too much to ask?
He can't be one of these guys that was making a ton of money either.
But he wasn't making nothing.
No, I know.
He's still making probably a few million a year.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Cavs Bucks.
They got to pay it out
Friday.
And now they got to pay Doc Rivers a lot because he's, future Hall of Fame coach, probably. So they're going to have to pay him quite a bit. So they're shelling it out.
Yeah. Well, you might have noticed there's plenty of money to go around in professional sports, which is why they always need us to pay for the stadiums.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's how they make all the money, Alan.
Is that what it is?
I
thought it was
when you have somebody else pay your rent, frees up some other income.
See, this is what you got to get into, Poundcake. I know that's what you're trying to do. You've got to get yourself into a real-life situation where it's like you're part of a professional sports organization. When these billionaire owners go, I want a new stadium, and I want you to pay for it. Mm-hmm. That's what they always say,
That's
right?
A really good
or
Dan
I'll
Gilbert.
take my ball and I'll go home, or I'll go to I'll take the team to Topeka, and then everybody, greases up and grabs ankle. You got to figure out a situation. You already got the grease up, grab ankle part. You got to figure out a situation where you can get that set up for you. And
Players,
I know that's what you constantly talk about, but I'm framing it this way for you.
I understand, and I'm trying to get in there, but I think they know that. Like, they take one look at me, and they're like, he's up to no good. Like, they already know that I'm one of those.
But that can work in your favor. I mean, you might come up with things that no one else can come up with.
They have seminars to teach them about people like me. He's gonna come off. He's not gonna alarm you. He's gonna be very charming, very helpful. And that's how they get you. Don't do anything around him.
And that's how they get you.
That's how they get you. You never know when the homosexual might strike. Isn't that how the...
Yeah, that is true. You never know when the homosexual is about.
He's too nice. Dresses well, smells good.
Yep.
Always willing to lend a hand.
What Jimmy didn't know was that Ralph was sick. A sickness that was not visible like smallpox, but no less dangerous and contagious. A sickness of the mind. You see, Ralph was a homosexual, a person who demands an intimate relationship with members of their own sex. So no matter where you meet a stranger, be careful if they are too friendly, if they try to win your confidence too quickly, and if they become overly personal. One never knows when the homosexual is about.
It's true, though. Sometimes I am overly polite just because I'm like, oh, I just want to bang you. That's all.
It's a good thing you weren't born back when that PSA was filmed. Mid-50s. Black and gay. Holy Christ. You were born in the right century, my friend.
I say that all the time. I've been watching...
Right decade, rather.
I've been watching that TV show Fellow Travelers.
Matt Bomer.
Matt Bomer and Jonathan Bailey, which I didn't know was gay, but he plays in Bridgerton. I didn't know he was gay.
That seemed like a show where they would have to cast gay actors.
But not always.
Isn't there a lot of sex in that show?
There's a lot of sex, but they usually cast a really hot straight guy because that's like a fetish for gay men.
But
like
not on a show like that. Like, is it Bomer or Bomber? I thought Matt Bomer. Whatever
Bomer.
it is. He never plays a straight dude.
He used to play Blue Collar or White Collar, whatever the TV show
I thought
was.
he was a gay guy in that show.
He wasn't gay in that show.
Oh, well, whatever.
He was.
You're like one of two people who watch White Collar.
I
But
watched it.
you
There
and
you are.
there's two people. you proved my point for me. You did the math right there in front of me. That looked like a show. Like I was clicking through and I heard Fellow Travelers is really good, and I was like, oh, this is not for me.
No.
This is specifically not for me. But everybody says it's a really good show.
Yeah.
It's got Brian Williams' daughter in it.
I guess.
I forget her name. The one from Get Out. And Girls.
Yeah.
Wasn't paying attention to the female actresses.
I know.
Yeah, no. But like it's just like
They have to throw a bone to a female on a show like that.
yeah, and usually they play like lesbians or like beards. It is. They do. They literally play. You're either a lesbian in that show or you're a beard. You're marrying a gay man.
But
to
that
help
show's
him
from
grow
a
up.
book, right?
I don't know.
I think it's from. I'm asking him. He's
Yeah, I
like
don't
he
know.
knows.
I don't know if it's from a book.
All right.
I just know it's about.
Thought
like,
maybe you'd know. I thought maybe in a situation like that you might take an interest in the source material.
No, McCarthy era. Everyone was gay. Everyone was doing stuff in the back rooms of these little speakeasy gay clubs. They try to kill gay people, punish them, make them lose their jobs, imprison them. They get AIDS and someone dies. Like that's literally.
Again, don't. If you're tuning in for the first time, don't listen to Poundcake for the historical accuracy. Okay, he didn't read the book. It was way before AIDS. Not everyone was gay, but if you were gay, you were hiding in the shadows and things like that. That's true.
The TV show follows.
He's really
like
mixing his
50
historical.
It follows like 50 years. Everybody's sus. McCarthy was sus.
J. Edgar Hoover.
Cohn was sus. His right-hand man, the military lawyer, was sus. Everybody is sus.
Well, Roy Cohn was gay, though. But that was at a time where, like, you had to... You want to talk about projection now on the part of right-wingers. Back then, boy, it was like you had to scream at other people if you were gay. You couldn't dare let people find out if you were gay. You had to go on crusades against your own people.
That's where cruising
That's
came
what they
from.
want to bring back.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's,
We want the gays hunting down the gays. That's the way we want it.
Roy Cohn was like, Trump's patron saint
And I
for a long time.
He had a side piece who was also in the military. So it was just like, ooh, the masculine one. They got to wear suits and got to pretend. You know how hot that was probably? Like,
No.
You know? I'm just saying. He was just.
But it's a good show.
Yeah, it's a good show. A lot of eye candy.
How do you watch it? That's on Showtime, isn't it?
Amazon.
Oh, it's on Amazon.
Yep.
Okay.
Homosexuals no longer hide in shadows, giving secret signals of recognition to each other. But rather they have joined together into groups or clubs in an attempt to seek freedom and acceptability for their type of sexual inclination.
See, that's progress. They're gathering. They're finding their own places, right?
That's
Progress.
Yeah, they do some.
They're no longer hiding in shadows or giving secret signals. What was a secret signal? Like making your forefinger and thumb into a ring and then putting the other finger through it?
You can wear
I
a
thought I was
ring.
tapping two fingers like this, like doing
A wide stance in the men's?
doing the old
So,
knock
well,
them together.
I don't know about the
ASL docking?
Yeah.
You can give a look to someone and they can tell, or you can, I think when you go to the stall and you sit on the toilet and you tap your foot underneath the stall.
Yeah,
the
tapping
wide
toes,
stance.
wide stance, and to
I don't know.
make contact underneath the stall.
The old Larry Craig.
Mm-hmm.
I've been spoiled. I've never had to do that. I've never had to cruise. Like I've never. That's too risky for me. I know I would rather have strangers come to my house and I know they're gay rather than going to like a convenience store and like standing in the back of the aisle waiting for someone to come down there and then just give them the eye. They're like, I think we have a man who's like, mentally challenged in the back just staring at me the whole time.
You both reach for the puffy Cheetos at the same time.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
Your eyes cross across a row of ring dings.
Would you go to like a porn store where they have the viewing booths and hang out there?
Yeah, that's different because everyone's there for the same thing. I have to know someone's down. Like I'm not gonna nature of the knock somebody out in public.
I was at a porn store. This is 15, 20 years ago, and I walk into the back, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go see what's back there. And I see like down this long hallway, just one dude standing there, just waiting for somebody to come in. And I'm like, bye.
There was like glory holes and stuff back there. They would mess around.
I don't know. It was just I didn't even.
He didn't
like,
hang out long enough to
I
find out.
walked in. I saw somebody and it was like dark, so it's just like a shadow person in the back of the viewing area, and I just like,
dude,
bro, I'm out.
I've been to one store like that. I was with my ex, and we were up in Niagara Falls, and we were looking to get some toys, and I think we needed some lube and some poppers and stuff. So we were like, all right, well, there's no gay clubs around here in Niagara Falls, so let's just go to like a it wasn't a porn store, but just like an adult toy store. And we were just like, it's probably open. So we find this one store in the middle of nowhere, and it really was like foggy and misty because of like all the water and everything. So we're like going there, so it already looks scary. And we walk in there, the lights flicker in, and we buy our stuff, and then apparently there was someone living upstairs, so they come like walking down the stairs and like looking at us. And I was like, let's get the hell out of here. I was like, we got our lube, like we're good, let's go.
You must have been on the New York side.
Yeah, we were.
There's a bunch of sex shops on the Canadian side of Niagara Falls.
We were on the New York side.
Yeah. Well, next time, just bring your passport. Get over there. You won't have to hide from anybody.
Yeah, I had my passport. My ex didn't at the time. But I want to go to the New York or the Canadian side because the New York side doesn't have any like gay clubs. We had to go all the way to Buffalo.
Oh, you ain't living until you've been to a Buffalo gay club, I'm sure.
We went to two, and it was like, ooh.
It's called Buffaloed. I've got to take a break here. It is not a break. I'm going to give you some money. It's $1,000. It's a quick 17-second break, but it's for you to grab $1,000, and I hope you do, from the Buzzard Bookie. Good luck.
This is your chance to bet with the Buzzard Bookie and win $1,000 now. Enter this nationwide keyword at WMMS.com. Money. That's money. Enter it now at WMMS.com.
It's funny to see all the finger pointing going on over who's responsible for the loose bolts on airplanes. Because the FAA is back investigating another flight. There was a Delta Boeing plane that was getting ready to take off from Atlanta, Jackson Airport. That's historically one of the busiest airports in the entire country. And the front wheel fell off.
My goodness.
And rolled down a nearby embankment. Every time I've ever been on a plane and it lands, my thought is always, how does that front wheel not break off? Right? You hit the ground, this tiny wheel, and the plane has to just slam the brakes to slow this massive machine down. And I'm always like, how does that not happen all the time? So the FAA said that there was a tire that broke off under the nose of a Delta 757 before it was had taken off. It was taxiing. And so now there's a lot of finger pointing because the airlines are pointing fingers at the airplane manufacturers. Like United and Delta, like, we're not going to buy these Boeing airplanes anymore because they're finding loose bolts. You know when you like order a package and it'll say contents may shift during transport? Maybe that's all it is. Maybe when they're shipping planes to the carriers, maybe some bolts shake loose. Could it be as simple as that? Could it be just like, hey, check them bolts? So everybody, it's like that Spider-Man meme where three of them are pointing at each other. That's what's going on now with air travel, is trying to figure out who's responsible for what. So it could have been a hell of a lot worse, because if that thing had gotten airborne, I don't know how the hell you would land the plane if the front wheel wasn't there. I'm sure that there are people, pilots and things like that, who could figure out how to do that, but I can't imagine that would be especially easy. There was a guy who got kicked off a plane because he was just loudly farting to annoy people.
Like farting on command?
Just, he was drunk apparently, or he just wanted to be out there making noise. It was an American Airlines flight. Now, again, on the spectrum of, hey, the door flew off or the bolts are shaky on the wing, a guy farting on your flight. First off, any flight you're ever on, there's people farting. It's just this was audible. This is a Phoenix to Austin flight. That's not a long flight. That's probably a 90-minute flight, right? Phoenix to Austin? That can't be that long.
I have no idea.
The plane was at the gate still, and a couple of people noticed this one dude who didn't look happy. They said he was probably very hungover. And just as everybody had gotten into their seats, this guy is already arguing with another passenger. And people start murmuring and maybe trying to get the guy. They haven't even taken off yet. Trying to get the guy to calm down and, maybe had a few too many at the terminal bar or whatever. And the guy said, "You thought that was rude. How about this?" And blew a huge fart in the cabin.
Having one in the chamber ready to go, and you're like, oh, they don't like that? Well, guess what? I'm just going to double down and fart it out.
So this person who was on this flight was posting this whole screed about this guy on this plane. And then they said that they were complaining about the smell of someone else's food that somebody had brought on board, which is a pretty common complaint, too. It always amazes me, the food people will bring on planes. Like, could we keep it to Twizzlers and chips? There's always some guy who's got a couple of hard-boiled eggs in a Ziploc, or he's eating a tuna salad sandwich. I like tuna salad. I ain't bringing that sandwich on board.
Yeah, he's like microwaving salmon.
I mean, at that point, nobody's going to notice this guy farting if they didn't hear it. They're certainly not going to know because it smells. So anyway, so this guy starts complaining about somebody else's food on the flight, and another passenger tells him to stop being rude. And he's going back and forth with them. And he was calling people low class. And they go, "Well, you're back here in economy with the rest of us." And then
he's like, "That's how I know you're low class. You're with me."
Yeah.
Just like me.
And then
I never said I was high class. I just said you guys are low class.
I'm back here farting. You guys are giving me a hard time.
This is the fart cabin.
Flight attendant steps in and tries to kind of calm everybody down. And the plane starts taxiing. They haven't even taken off yet. People are hoping that that's the end of it. But minutes later, the plane stopped because the pilot came on the speaker and said they were heading back to the gate so that they could kick that guy off the plane. Because he was, hey, oh, you don't like that? How do you like this?
I've been drunk on planes before. Never this drunk, but also, like, I just want to get to where I'm going.
Right.
Like, that's so much more important than causing a scene. Like, you have to be such a belligerent a-hole to be like, nah, I'm just going to ruin everything right now.
A guy one row over says, if you don't like it, you can fly private. The farting guy says, that's pretty effing rude. And, of course, another person goes, I think we'd all agree. You're the rude one here.
Got him.
Got him. You put him in his place.
You got served.
Yeah.
Remember that?
You got served.
You got served.
Sucker. But I do like the notion of a guy sitting there and like, oh, yeah, you don't like that? How you like that? How you like them apples? Just loudly farting. And so all in all, the airline handled it pretty well. People said the trip was only delayed by about 20 minutes, and they got everybody on to their destination. That was a Phoenix to Austin flight. Pretty much as soon as you hit cruising altitude, they tell you about 15 minutes later that they're starting their descent. Speaking of farts, Chick-fil-A. Poundcake, you should look into this. There's a $4.4 million settlement, so they're mailing out checks to people. You should find out if you qualify for this. A class action lawsuit on the part of Chick-fil-A. Customers accuse them of inflating their menu prices for delivery orders. And so...
But don't they say they do that? That's common practice for a lot of places where they say, hey, if you get this stuff delivered, it might cost more.
Well, Chick-fil-A was advertising low-cost food delivery. So these people accused them of essentially a bait and switch, and people filed a class action lawsuit. Chick-fil-A, obviously, these guys never say they did anything wrong. They don't want that on the record. They just go, fine, we'll pay out a settlement. So they're mailing people $29 Chick-fil-A gift cards.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, I'm getting, I need money. I'm going
So just look into it. Go through.
go to the website.
Go to their website. What's the website? Customers eligible to file a complaint are those who made a Chick-fil-A delivery order through the company's app. Have you done that through their app?
Oh, I've done it. No, I've done it through third-party apps like
Well, you should still look into this. Get online and look around.
Phil-A.com.
Deliveryordersettlement.com.
Okay.
And then you might get yourself a $29, because when they do these settlements, when they say, okay, fine, we'll earmark a certain amount of money, in this case about $4.5 million, these companies go, okay, we'll earmark this money. But their assumption is that not even half of that's going to get claimed because people just aren't going to take the time to do it.
Or
they're not going to go on the website,
about it.
or they're not going to hear about it. That's why I'm telling you.
They're not going to do all the steps.
That's why I'm telling the listeners.
Okay.
Might get yourself a $29 Chick-fil-A gift card under these circumstances. Hey, Steve.
Hey, man.
What up?
So I was flying to Vegas in November on this janky Frontier airline because they're the only one that had a nonstop flight.
That's redundant.
And they don't have They don't have first class, so I bought the bulkhead seat, which is the first row. So you got a little bit more leg room there because I'm pretty tall. And about halfway in, people on the right side of the aisle start smelling. I thought somebody had a tuna sub. Like happened to me, some Indian guy last time had a tuna sub with extra onions and decided to open it up and eat it like some jerk, right?
Indian guy. I love it.
Of course it was the Indian guy.
Stop looking at my sandwich. I just want to eat it. I just want to eat in peace, please.
Leave me alone. So this guy was not Indian. He was just a jerk. And he opened a can of sardines on an airplane.
Insane.
And like halfway through it, I'm looking around. I look at the people to my right, and I said, who the hell has a tuna sub? They're like, no, it's this guy next to us eating sardines. He looks at me, and I said, what are you doing? I've never done this before. It's my first time. So he finishes
flying or eating sardines. You think he'd know a little bit more of the protocol.
Right.
Yeah.
So he finishes them, and then he goes up, to where the flight attendant is sitting up in front of the bulkhead. I thought it was her at first, like eating her own food. And she's looking around. He goes into the bathroom as he stashes his empty can in her trash can up there. And I said, it was him eating a can of sardines, and he just stuffed them in your bag, and it's going to stink up the whole plane. She was so pissed. She waited for him to come out of the bathroom. She chastises him in front of the whole airplane. I can't believe you did that on a plane. I'd throw you off if we were still on the ground. The dude was so embarrassed, rightfully so, stunk up the entire front of the airplane like dead fish.
Oh, she upbraided him in front of everyone.
It's insane.
In front of everyone. It was perfect response on her part.
Good for her to do that, too, because that guy will hopefully never do that again. But it's crazy that people bring so much food onto planes.
And that you have to be told to not eat sardines in a closed environment.
Have a good day, guys.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Steve.
How long, Mary, what's the longest flight you've been on this year or last year? Probably
last
4 hours?
Yeah. I went from Chicago to Hawaii. Hawaii was 9 hours from
9
West
hours,
Coast.
I can understand bringing some food or eating on the flight. But if it's 2 hours, 4 hours. Like, you can go 4 hours without eating a ton. You don't need a meal. You can eat in between.
Yeah, but also people might be rushing around. If they get to the airport and then have to go straight to their gate, or
Then
they
eat
only
it
have
before
10
you get
minutes.
on the flight.
They
but
also
yeah.
roll the cart down the aisle. Hey,
But
want some
not
chips?
always. And then where if you're like, well, I don't want to spend money, and they're trying to, if they're on Frontier, they're probably trying to travel cheaply.
But
So you can bring your own food. I don't think people understand that. You can bring food from home through TSA.
it's just
Right, just don't
the
make it
food.
sardines.
Yeah, the food,
I mean,
choose wisely on what food you bring is basically the message here.
yeah.
You want to bring a granola bar or a turkey sandwich, that's fine. Bringing sardines, cracking the can, that's insane.
Oh, guys, I got sardines in my Lort back here. Anybody want to
Yeah.
tug? I got to take a break. I want to send a text 35192. Want to go to Monster Jam? That's back next month at the Romo Fee Hall. I have a 4-pack of tickets for you when we get back.
It's the Alan Cox Show on 100.7 WMMS. And every